Hi, you guys. So I'm just back talking to you guys about Christian living and how it's required to be in a certain type of posture, to be holy. Um, I remember when I first started my journey, when God called me. He been had called me, but I remember when I chose to do the work, when I started to learn how to speak, and I started to, deny my flesh. It was a requirement, and when I started this journey, when he had called me, it was just me, a rich like me, that he called. So when he called me, I was still smoking, drinking. I was still not married. I was, you know, still with kids, um, without, being married. Um, I didn't really curse, but I still cursed. Um, just everything that doesn't supposed to dwell in the house of God, I was doing when he called me. And when he had called me, when you recognize when God calling you, it's because you are going to start being, it's like you're being in court and you are learning the rules. Only different with learning the rules is it's not it's not like the law rules, right? What the law rules is that you have to do the law, statutes, and commandments. You have to do them, right? And if you fail at them, you get punished for them. That's just the truth. But when you're walking with Christ and He is walking us, you know, you are in Him, He in you, you you get some type of grace and mercy. Okay, so um, when I first started, I started to think that me not smoking, not drinking, not cursing, you know, trying to clean my flesh, like trying to get this image. I thought that that was the right way, but the more that I was doing that, it was like the more warfare was coming at me. And that was my first season I went through. And then my second season I went through, I realized that it wasn't about the sin I was doing, that it was about the posture and where my heart at when I was doing this sin. That was another level of me learning how to walk with God. So it's like it's different levels when you're walking with God. There's different type of ways you have to live when you're walking with God, but you're not gonna all learn them at once. And so when I learned that it wasn't about me taking away my flaws. It was about me acknowledging that Jesus Christ did the work for me and that I have to have faith to walk in it, right? And so I had learned how to do that with fasting and praying, just listening to God, just being obedient to God. I started learning how to, shade those things off. It's not because it was me that was doing the work, but it was because God had already completed the work in a spiritual. And I had to know that spiritually I was done with it in order for it to manifest physically. So that's when I started learning that, okay, let me stop trying to stop smoking and stop drinking and stop. Let me acknowledge God first and who He is. Let me allow Him to come with me wherever I go. Right, as I'm walking in darkness already. Yea, do I walk through the valleys of the shadows of death, I fear no evil. So I took God with me, fearing no evil of what it was, what I was doing. So as I was doing it, but I was bringing God with me when I put myself in a situation of being in darkness on purposely choosing it. That's when God would acknowledge that He would tell me, well, this is this. And this is something that you don't suppose, and if you do it, this is the consequences behind it. So it's like you could learn from the world about who God is, but I feel like it's better for God to teach you because who can teach you better than Him? He is the teacher. Okay, so this is what I was learning from. I was learning from God Himself. And when I learned from God Himself, I felt the grace and the mercy of what I went through. So as I'm learning the grace and the mercy of me walking through my life, being walking, learning how to walk a Christian life, I started to understand what was love. And I started to understand what was love because every time I fell off of my bike, we're going to just say, every time I fell off of my bike, he would help me get up. Or every time I parked in a spot that I wasn't supposed to park in, a handicapped spot, he would correct me. He would make me pull out that spot and would make sure I park in a correct spot. Okay? So everything that I was doing wrong, it was like he was correcting me, but he was correcting me with love, with genuine, with kindness, with meekness. He was showing me the proper way of how to correct my wrongs. And so that's the second step I had went through. And then a third step, he started showing. First of all, when I walked it and I chose this life, it was like God had showed me a vision of what was going to happen to my life, how this was going to harm my family, my immediate family. He showed me how I was about to go to war. I was about to go through a battle. But the difference was that I was already about to go through this battle. But it was like he was letting me know that, but you bring me with you in this battle, you definitely gonna come out on the right side. So that's the first thing he showed me. And so I made a choice to go with his will, not my will. Because if I would have went with my will, I would have choose not to go through the things I went through with my family. But see, God was showing me that he was telling me the truth of what I was about to go through. But in my mind, I'm thinking that by I was going to be choosing my own will, that I wasn't going to go through this. But God was the truth teller. He was the only true way in the light. So he was showing me what was about to happen. The enemy was tricking me thinking I was doing better. I was going to do better if I didn't walk with God. He was trying to show me, give me this marvelous life, showing me these things, and it wasn't true what I was choosing. But God was showing me the truth. Even if I choose him, you're going to go through this battle. But this battle is not going to be about flesh and blood. He was showing me that this battle is going to be by principalities, by rulers, by wickedness in high places. So he was showing me that if I bring him with me, then I'm going to be able to sustain every battle that comes my way. Why? Not because I choose my will, but because I chose his will and I put my trust in him. And so that was the thing that I had to learn before I started walking with God, is just to trust him. So when I started to trust him, I started feeling betrayed on the slick, because I'm like, dang, you go through all of this stuff even if you're walking with Jesus? Yes, you probably will go through more stuff, because in the sense of God teaching you your right from wrong, he actually exposing your life to you, because who is the true prophet? He is. He teaching you and showing you what's ahead, right? And who could be more prepared for what's ahead than him? So it would the enemy will make you feel like your life and what you choose for your will would be better, because he not showing you all the crips and the craps and the cuts and the bruises and the downfalls and the pain that come with choosing your life. But Jesus is showing you the truth. He's showing you the downs, the criblets, the cuts, the bruises, the cracks.